GM, and welcome to the Non-Fungible Creator Show, part of the Web Radio Decentralized Media Network. This is your host, Non-Fungible TC, Non-Fungible Today, and Non-Fungible Tomorrow. In this episode, we have sports and NFT enthusiast Keith on the show. Keith is the founder of OliveX and the CEO of OliveX, and he will share with us his passion for sports and how he is trying to build a fitness metaverse. So GM Keith, it is a pleasure having you here. So before we begin, can you share more about yourself, your background before Web3?
Yeah, GM everyone. Excited to tell everyone about my background. I worked as a software engineer in Toronto at an accounting software firm right out of university. I did that for 3 years, and then I realized, hey, I don't want to work on accounting software ever again. It's too boring. And at the time, I loved basketball, right? I was coaching a boys basketball team, and so the iPhone just came out, and I decided to write a basketball app. And I put it on the App Store. Next thing you know, it was featured on Apple.com. It was used in the movie with Kevin Durant. And then at that point, I quit my job, came back to Hong Kong to set up an office, went to the Cyberport incubation program. We won a bunch of awards, and we went to Techstars in the US, where Nike invested in our company. I met with Nike CEO. And then, our app was on the walls of all the Apple stores globally. And we built a successful business, and we had NBA coaches using us. Here's NBA coach, Lionel Hollins, I think Nets coach at the time. So it was my dream come true, right? And we ran that for 5-6 years, and then eventually we got acquired by Animoca Brands. And we focused on creating basically gamified fitness experiences. So we developed some technology on AI. Our first game was Garfield Fit, and then we created another game, which is we use AI to detect your kind of body's motion. And so we had like over 5 million downloads across all our games. And then eventually won the Google Play Award for 2019. So we did that for a while. And then about a year and a half ago, we pivoted to move into Web3, which we'll go into later. And basically we launched Doge Token, which stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, all the chemicals you get when you exercise. We have a game called Dustland Runner. And then we also recently just sold out an NFT collection in OliveX Genesis. So that's a summary of my background.
That's really exciting because you have been using AI way before anyone is doing it, and you have been using AI, in the fitness realm as well, and you have a different type of use case as well, right? It's not like a totally new project, but you already have a very strong Web2 background. So I know you are also a sports enthusiast, and you mentioned you were playing basketball. So how did your journey in sports begin?
I learned my most important lessons in life through basketball. I was on a basketball team, and then I started coaching a team as a volunteer work. I actually wrote 3 books on basketball. So if you go to Amazon, you type in my name, we have the best-selling book in the basketball category. And so that's how I got started in basketball. It's always a passion of mine, and using sports to change people's lives.
Since you're so passionate about basketball, when NBA Top Shot first came out, were you aware of that because you're also in the Web3 space?
Oh, definitely. So I was in the Animoca office, and the product manager for NBA Top Shot, and also the founders of Flow was before even Flow came out, right? They were in the office, and so I was totally aware of it, but I was too lazy because you needed VPN to buy at the time. I don't know if people still remember, and so I missed that chance. But I did get some crypto kitties, so OG in that sense.
So is that how you got into NFT? What's the first NFT that you minted?
Yeah, so the first one was, like I said, crypto kitties, just because I met the team, and I think that's pretty OG, right? That's earlier than that. So and so that's my first one.
So how did you decide to merge your passion for sports and also Web3, NFTs and also the metaverse? When was that pivot that you decided to merge them both together?
When I was in Animoca office, I saw a lot of companies come in, right? So the Sandbox was originally a mobile game. I don't know if people still remember, but now huge, right? And then I saw Top Shot and CryptoKitties. And then I saw Axie Infinity was in Hong Kong, and they were in the office. I don't know if people remember it, and it was really interesting to see one thing, which was, if you're in the mobile apps business, you'll understand that there's 2 problems. One is the cost of acquisition is insane, super expensive, right? And then the second thing is, even if you get the users, they don't stick around, right? The retention rate of mobile games in particular after 30 days is super low, right? You get less than 5%. for majority of games. And then when we saw Axie Infinity come out, and the numbers were mind-blowing at the time, right? Like 80% retention after 90 days, right? You just flipped it. And then so I was like, okay, now people don't like to exercise, but what if they were like super addicted to working out? What's the harm in that, right? So that's why we decided to try Web3 in fitness.
So this kind of leads into my next question for that. And as a founder with a very strong Web2 experience, right? What are you trying to achieve that is only available in Web3, which you kind of alert in your previous answer? So what is that one thing in Web3 that makes it so special that you have to pivot to Web3 and to, besides retention, of course, or besides what you just mentioned?
Yeah, so I have to give some history of how everything works. I think, so our goal is to make 1 billion people healthier, right? We want to have massive impact, right? That's why I don't coach basketball, because I can only impact 10 people, but now I create these games that we want to. So how do you do that? Well, we believe in riding trends. I was able to get lucky, right? You had personal computer, you created Microsoft, Apple, and then you had the internet, and then you have Facebook and then Google, and then you had the mobile, right? Which I rode with my app, right? So you have Instagram and WhatsApp. So I believe in riding waves, and I think Web3 is next wave, which is going to take me to 1 billion people. And we were already we just crossed the 12 years of mobile app, right? And the secret is that it's really hard. You don't see new fitness apps coming out anymore because Apple Fitness ate everyone's lunch, right? So they're going to be a monopoly. They basically killed everyone. And so if I want to have that 1 billion people impact, I see Web3 as a way, because number one, you now have a direct way of acquiring users at mass without advertising, right? So you give out tokens, you give out NFTs. And number two, once I acquire these people, I want to retain them. And we think Web3 allows me to retain these people in multiple ways. So, it's just, I think it's the next wave. Web3 is the next wave to get me to 1 billion people.
That's amazing. So you were talking about apps and stuff like that. So you started off with app development and so on, but now I know that you're trying to build the fitness metaverse. So I just wanted to, the concept of the metaverse could be quite abstract, right? Because everyone is like, Meta is trying to change to the metaverse, but they decide to give it up and so on, or to not put priority. So what exactly are you trying to build here?
Basically, we call Fitness 4.0, Fitness Metaverse. Fitness 1.0 is DVD and cassette tapes, Jane Fonda, P90X. And then Fitness 2.0 is live demand, live streaming. So the apps and the YouTube videos. And right now, I think we're at the Fitness 3.0, which is fitness as a game. So you have the cycling game in Swift, you have Pokemon Go. Pokemon just released a sleeping game. And then you also have Ring Fit, which sold, I think, 15 million copies at $70 a pop. But the problem is all these games are individual silos. So our vision is that if you run for 10 kilometers, you get a black hoodie NFT. Now you can use the black hoodie in the yoga game, in the cycling game, in the meditation game, all interconnected. So we just feel like whatever game you're playing, as long as the items and the tokens can be used in multiple games on the blockchain, that's a fitness metaverse.
Interesting. So when you talk about the fitness metaverse, right, because there's different type of sports, there's different type of entry point that people could join this metaverse. So how do you plan to build this fitness metaverse?
Yeah, the reason we want to build this fitness metaverse is because we notice people are fitness omnivores. So what does that mean? So if you run, you don't just run, but you also lift weights, or maybe you do yoga, maybe you do swimming. So we feel like we cannot just be a one game company. So in a way, we're basically trying to emulate Animoca, right? We want to be the Animoca of wellness and health, where we have hundreds and thousands of games where it covers everything you want. So we already have this in our ecosystem, right? We have a running game, we have a cycling game, we invested in a AR game and a meditation game. So Binary just came out. We have a HIIT, and there's nutrition and there's DNA. So there's a ton, right? So we invested and also build all this in our ecosystem. So then whatever your needs are, you can find it within our fitness metaverse.
Okay. So, and the beauty of this is that because it's backed by the blockchain, all of these assets could be NFTs, so that it's kind of interoperable within the different type of apps. Is that the understanding?
Yes, that's the understanding, right? So you see this already a little bit with BAYC. They have an ecosystem of lots of games using their assets, right? That's what we want to build, right? We want you to get fitter by holding your assets and then using them in multiple games seamlessly.
You mentioned a lot of apps, right? Is there a physical aspect to the fitness metaverse that you're building? Are you gonna work on wearables, devices, health devices, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so for majority of the games, right, the difference between fitness games and just a pure game is that in majority of the cases, the fitness games require you to do something, right? So it's kind of restricted to how it tracks you. So GPS is something that's been used a lot, but also the gyro in the phone, and we talked about AI capturing your body movement. So in majority of fitness games, you actually have to move physically. In our fitness metaverse, this is only stage one, right? We talked a lot about online games, but we feel like there's like online and offline components as well. So in between, we have a physical product called Kara Smart Fitness, which is a connected fitness mirror, where it's a life-size mirror with like live streaming to Lululemon, Nike coaches. You can do Pilates, yoga. So we have these, connected devices, and also we partner with 7 different fitness brands: MyZone, Gym Aesthetics, Stages. So we want to onboard people through like these physical brands as well. So eventually, the ecosystem is not just purely online, but we also have physical presence as well.
The mirror that you were talking about is already in the market, right? It's already being used nowadays.
Yes. So we sold $500,000 worth of Kara Smart Fitness mirrors in Hong Kong alone. It's available in major retail stores, actually inside a lot of real estate buildings as well. So we're already seeing a lot of mass adoption with that. And back to the point is like, I think in Web3, well, actually, I guess not everyone is familiar with Web2 fitness, but I'll spend a second here. Web2 fitness, connected fitness devices have taken off in the last couple of years. The leader being Peloton, which is a NASDAQ listed company where you cycle stationary bike and there's a screen with instructors, right? And then after you have cycling, there's a bunch of rowing companies with a screen. There's like a treadmill with a screen. And so we're going to see our hypothesis is that you're going to see a lot of rowing machines, cycling machines, all these machines that are going to be Web3 and billion-dollar companies coming up next.
And what you mentioned was actually Web2 companies, right? So
Yes.
You're saying that you're foreseeing that a lot of Web3 companies will do that as well.
Yes, because we're going to see a new Peloton, but with the NFTs and tokens integrated with the bike.
And is OliveX planning something similar? Okay, that's alpha, okay?
Too much alpha.
Too much alpha, okay. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you, you were talking about move to earn or being, participating and also having a physical product. So I know Artifact is kind of building the sneakers where they can track how many movements you have and so on. Or even previously you have Steppen, right? Where they use geo-targeted and a gyroscope to track your running behaviors and so on. So with so many different competitors in the Web3 space, right? That is doing move to earn as well, like Nike. And Steppen, how do you stand out from the competition?
Yeah, no, it's actually, first of all, it's a good thing that, they're succeeding, right? So Steppen brought in a lot of people from Web 2 into Web 3. And Nike, actually, they sold the most amount of NFTs. They even beat out traditional brands like Gucci and LV, right? So it's a great thing that they're setting this precedence. And I think, look, the simple answer is, games are very competitive, right? But why do you have new games pop out all the time? Because actually there's no one size fits all. Even with we have a Web 2 game that's very successful. It's called Zombies Run, right? And actually there's a lot of running apps. You can probably name 1,000 running apps, right? At the top end, you have Strava, right? And then some people use Map My Run. And why is there a space for Zombies Run, right? Because we've done gamification paired with storytelling, with all this great stuff. So we have a niche, right? Same thing is like A lot of people play Candy Crush, right? It's a match 3 game. But people don't like that cute style, and then they have another match 3, but with maybe Dragon Ball, and people will download it, right? So I think there's room for everyone. But how are we different? Well, we think that, and I tweeted this before, I think for a project to be successful, you need to do 3 things really well, which is you have to have great NFT, you have token, and then to wrap it all up is you have a product that uses the NFT and uses a token. That's the trifecta, right? But in order to do all 3, it's actually really hard. Most people are either great at NFTs, they don't have a token, or they're great at tokens, but they don't know how to do an NFTs, right? We feel like we've done well with our OliveX Genesis. We have a token, we know how to launch on major exchanges, and we also have a great game that we've proven works in Web2, right? So we feel like we have that trifecta. And that's how we're different from the other people.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the metaverse, and you need a lot of different components, different apps that you mentioned, and because you're part of Animoca, you have that backing as well.
Yes.
So you kind of mentioned about OliveX Genesis. Congratulations! It was a very successful mint. It was an auction, if I remember correctly, and then the final price was at 5 ETH, right? So it was a successful mint. And as a founder yourself, what word of advice would you give to other project founders to replicate or learn from the experience that you had with OliveX Genesis?
Yeah, I think right now the macro dynamics are not easy, right? Because if you look at the trading volume, total volume has actually gone down. But the good news is that you're still maintaining, like, the number of unique wallets is still there. So you still have a bunch of people, but they're more conservative. And with recent events with the banking sectors, there's obviously fear. So in order to sell out in the current environment, I think you need to basically tap into other communities and partner with other great communities. I think that's a secret to winning with NFT projects at the current moment.
And you mentioned about the situation, the macro situation, right? And if we revisit the OliveX collection right now, you guys reviewed just a few days ago, and I think congratulations as well on that for a smooth review. And I saw that it's a very story driven, right? You mentioned there's a trifecta to have a successful project, but I think there's a fourth element, which is storytelling, which I think you guys did really well in terms of how you executed this whole mint, and also how you engage your audiences. But one thing that some people might ask is that your floor price right now is 3.2, which is kind of expected after a review, right? But it's kind of a little bit lower than the mid price, which is 5 ETH. So what do you think of this?
Yeah, so we definitely ate some humble pie for sure. And we realized the floor price is very important, right? And so, look, I can blame the macro dynamics a little bit. A lot of, blue chip projects are struggling. But I think that's only part of it. I think the main part is that we have to build the trust with our community. And to build trust with our community, basically we have to consistently deliver and also return value to the holders, right? So holding on is actually beneficial to them, right? If we can do that, and look, this has only been 3 weeks, and this is such a small collection. We're only maybe 4 or 5 NFT sales away from like pulling up to like back to 5. So like with a small collection, the price can change really rapidly. And so, we have a lot planned. I think compared to a 10,000 collection, I think it's much easier for us to pull up the floor price and continue to deliver from there.
And I know that you are a huge advocate for people to participate, right? So for people who miss out the mint, I was looking at your Discord, people who are in the limbo could also have some sort of participation to be part of the ecosystem. Is it okay if you can share some alpha on that, or let people know that, hey, it's not too late, you can still participate, because it's an open ecosystem, right?
Yeah, so one of the challenges that post mint, right? How do you retain the attention on your project, right? Because before mint, everyone's engaging everything, they want the whitelist, everyone's participating, right? Afterwards, how do you maintain that, right? And I think one of the things we've done really well is that we've delivered gaming experiences, right? So before mint, we had an experience called save or sacrifice, where you could choose to save someone, or like a god, right? and we had 20,000 people play it. I think that by launching another game experience and more of these experiences, we can bring attention back to the project and make a lot more people be aware. And eventually, even if you have 1% conversion rate, right, that's enough for them to increase the value of our NFTs, right? So basically, using these mini games as a way to draw in more attention back into the project, so more people will support the project.
So is there some mini games in the work right now?
Yeah, definitely. So it's semi-open, but if you go on a Discord, you'll see that we have a game that's launching very shortly that will allow non-holders also to play. And by playing, will give you a lot of advantages. But I'm not going to reveal too much there, but definitely worthwhile playing the game.
Moving on to more business-related questions, because you are a founder with a lot of experience in the business side as well. So I know that OliveX is a listed company in Australia, and I noticed that you're doing a lot of NFTs and crypto stuff. So is it difficult for companies, especially listed companies, to enter this industry?
Yeah, so actually it is hard because getting listed is really hard. In theory, anyone can do it, but in reality, very, very difficult. Launching a token is also very hard. And everything is hard. But I think the benefit is that we are unique in the sense that we're both a listed company and we have a token, right? And actually the similarities are very close, and the lessons you can apply to both, right? And if you can utilize those strengths well, then actually is a bonus. And so I consider it as advantage being both a listed company and having token. Now, other challenges, having tokens and NFTs as a listed company, yes, but actually as a holder, this is great because you have more governance and more scrutiny. So like it's more professionally run, right? Like the founder can't just run away, right? And so that's a good part. And just to reveal a little bit of secret, just to let people know, right? It's like, what's the advantage of being a listed company? Well, it's because now your equity can be used in multiple ways, and one of them is to acquire other companies without cash, right? So how many people know how to use that skill set? How many people have acquired a company before? And so we feel like we have the experience to fully utilize tokens and our listed company entity, whether for raising money, for acquisitions, to grow our ecosystem. We think we have the expertise.
I really like how your experience as a founder and also a listed company could apply to Web3, because there's, as you said, there's a lot of similarities there. And so you previously mentioned that your company was acquired by Animoca Brands, and I know you're really friend with Yasu, arranging lunch and stuff like that for your holders and stuff like that. As someone based in Hong Kong, right? Because I know your company operates out of Hong Kong. So the Hong Kong government recently announced that they are more open to digital assets. And what do you think about this, right? And also in these few weeks, there's a lot of different type of Web3 events here in Hong Kong. In general, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, generally, I'm super bullish, right? Just from interacting with VCs and other project founders, I think Hong Kong recently has a couple of successful NFT projects, right? And people are paying attention. And of course, you have Animoca in Hong Kong. And then also, at some of the events today, you have the government officials coming out and supporting Web3. So that positions us really well in the crypto space. And we're also seeing a lot of exchanges, crypto exchanges set up in Hong Kong. So I think that the ecosystem will form in Hong Kong, and I think we have an opportunity to be the capital of Web3 in Asia.
That's great to hear. And as a founder who has been here in Hong Kong for some time, right? I think you guys have been anticipating this moment for quite a long time. And now finally Hong Kong is opening up. So what would you say are some of the challenges that founders might face with regards to more, just to a certain extent, there will be more regulations, right? There's more scrutiny in how digital assets could be released in Hong Kong. There was discussion about, they're only allowing Hong Kong people to trade large market caps, right? So as a founder, what are your thoughts on these challenges that you might foresee in the near future?
Yeah, look, I think regulations will be forced to accept Web3, and I think it's just going to get easier over time as it gets more regulated. I think the challenge for most Web3 founders is managing the community, because it's a double-edged sword, right? Whether you're doing token or NFTs, the expectations are huge, and when you're not doing well or perceived as not doing well, there's a lot of criticism that will be, thrown at you, more so than ever before. So how you handle that is the biggest challenge.
Definitely not easy being a founder with so many people's expectation and also attention on you. So anyways, before we wrap up, Keith, is there anything that you'd like to share before we end?
Yeah, so I think I encourage everyone, especially because, OliveX, we want to build the #1 wellness and health community, right? And I encourage everyone to dive into Web3. I think long-term bullish, and also bullish in Hong Kong. So if you want to set up a Web3 business, come to Hong Kong. This is the place to be.
Thank you so much, Keith. So this concludes the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who like the content, remember to like and subscribe and press the bell button. And also follow Keith and his project, OliveX, in the description link below. So until next time, live every day non-fungibly. Thank you, Keith. Bye.